Hi, my name is Meztli Doles, and I am part of Church Council here, and we are coming to you from Chicago and California. So I am here with Gretchen. Gretchen, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I am in California living with my mother along with Paul. I'm the treasurer on the church council by distance, and not because I wanted to be distant from you guys, but the Lord led, and here we are in California.
All right. Well, we are here to discuss a couple of questions about budgeting and some things that we need to know so that we can discern as a congregation what our next steps are and just what is the current state of our finances. So thank you, Gretchen, for leading from afar and serving us with your gifts and talents. We really appreciate it. So what are some highlights from this year, 2020, as we begin closing out and thinking next steps?
Actually, it feels like 2020, but we were just finishing 2021. You know, COVID has taken over 2 years now. So in 2021, we were blessed as a congregation to have the PPP loan. That loan has made a huge difference and given us a breathing space for this year. The other that we've been really blessed this year was the fact that the food for Fed has continued to be free. Those are two huge differences in our budget.
What is the current state of our budgeting? What is the reality with a lot of churches and just nonprofits everywhere? Giving is low. Cuts are needing to be made. What is our current state?
Well, our current state is that at the end of the year, we'll be about 100% income and expense. But that's because of the PPP loan and because we haven't had to pay for that food for Fed. So if those two things are taken out, it's about 85% income to 100% expense. So we're short about 15% of income to the current amount of expense. We'll be fine finishing this year, but it's not sustainable going to the future because we don't have another PPP loan coming in next year.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what that 85% ratio means?
It means that if we keep the same budget for this next year, i.e. our expenses being budgeted the same, we'll be short by about 15% of income. So we either need to increase, the current people at the church need to either increase their giving by 15%, which would be like if you give $100, it means you give $115 a month, or we have to decrease our expenses by that 15%. And that's where the rub is. We have three main areas of our budget. We have our mission giving, we have our facilities, and we have our staff compensation. Everything else is bare bones. We really can't cut any more electricity or any more water. And the amount for other programs like for youth and such are really way down. There's really not a whole lot of areas to cut. So if we are going to cut, it has to be in those three areas, which is hard. And that's part of why we're bringing this to people, because we need our collective wisdom to know what's next. Our facilities are being more and more expensive. You'll learn more about that. There's major repairs that need to be done. Grace has had a history of being generous, and we want to continue that with our missionaries around the world and people who are less fortunate. And we want to provide our staff with at least somewhat comparable, that if we keep a flat budget for this next year, they will receive no compensation increase for 2 years. And we all know that rates are going up. Everything, cost of living is going up. Some people say we should look for outside income. Other people will say, well, what if we didn't have 2 properties? Some people will say we should take out a loan. That one troubled me because if you look at small churches, not just ours, but around the United States, they tend to be declining in number of people coming. So to take out a big loan when you're not sure that your number of participants, congregants, is going to be increasing, doesn't seem really smart. We have about a year. We've had this year. It feels like next year is the year we need to make decisions. We have a reserve of about 1/4 worth. So we could use all that reserve up. It's about $69,000, but then you get into cash flow problems, and then the crunch really, really hits. So we would be smart to make decisions this year. As people know, when I've been treasurer, usually I always start and say, it's all God's. And I want to end by saying it's all God's, meaning we are God's. We have given our lives to him. Grace Church is, the buildings, our budget. So it's okay to ask God, what would you have us do? How would you have us be? Because it's all for his glory and neighbor's good. So how can we truly be the congregation that God wants us to be?
Thank you, Gretchen. It sounds like we need to be praying and discerning carefully and collectively, because decisions need to be made this year that affect how Grace moves forward.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Yes.
So anything else that you want to share? This seems like a lot of information, right? Our budgeting and our expenses. We need to make decisions, as we'll learn a little bit more in facilities, inflation. We're all feeling it, right? And so thank you for sharing that with us as we head into this year and make decisions as a congregation. Anything else that we should know that you would like to share?
Everybody will receive 2 different budgets. One which will be an 85% and one which will be a flat. Even the 85% one, meaning 85% of this year's budget, will be hard to meet as far as income. Nothing's impossible for God, but it will mean additional sacrifice from people. God has great things in store, but we've got to have the courage to do it. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.